You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're going to be talking about trusting and depending on yourself. Now, isn't to say that you can't rely on other people. I'm not saying that. But at some point, decisions do fall on us. At some point, when we make a move in life, we have to take that step forward. And so we have to learn how to trust and depend on ourselves. And so we're going to talk about that throughout today's show. And you want to stay with us. Our inspirational guest coming up, Miss Tanya, has really had to deal with that battle of pleasing others, but wanting to go and live her dream of dance and choreography. But you know, it's hard. There's a lot of competition and it's hard to make it in the industry. So there's a lot of reasons to fall backwards and go with what is stable and what is safe. But she did forge ahead, and she's going to share with us her story. And we want to make sure that, you know, beyond today's show, that you know that you can always reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. We're here to support you. We also want you to know that if you are on the go, you can go to the App Store. Just look for the Living Full Out Show app. It's free, and you can be motivated at the gym or in the car or wherever you are. We want to make sure that we're right there beside you every step of the way. And I am getting word right now from our producer. We do have a listener on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
So my question is, I often find myself burning out. What can I do to prevent this from happening?
I'm gonna raise both of my hands because I'm with you, right? I mean, life can burn out, right? But what is it that's really causing you the most stress? Like, what is that for you?
I just feel like I take on too much, and a lot of the times I feel like I don't have really anyone that I can pass it along to.
Mm-hmm. Are some of the things that are asked of you, things that people need? Like, you feel bad if you don't help them? Not like helping a friend move, but...
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like I definitely do need to help out as much as I can. Even if that means like cutting into my time and cutting into all my other responsibilities. I do often pick up more than I can chew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get that. And I really do get that. I find myself just trying to chew faster. Huh? How fast
Yeah.
can we eat what's on our plate? You know, the thing is there's yes, no, and not right now. And you are going to have to find a way to navigate those three choices. And I would really embrace negotiating that not right now thing. So when someone, I'm just going to give an example. Let's say you have someone in your life that has a health issue. And let's say you're the person that maybe helps them go to appointments, or maybe you're the person that helps them do some errands. There is negotiation there of timing. But if you don't communicate, then you're kind of stuck with what they give you. So you almost have to look at yourself as a friend or really good family member with office hours. You got to give yourself office hours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You are the business of being a good friend. That's your Inc. Okay? That's your LLC. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the business of that. But if you're in the business of that, you got to have operating hours. You got to have boundaries. And that's what it doesn't sound like you have. So, of course, if a friend comes up to you and says, oh my gosh, can you help me on Sunday with this? Or I have a doctor's appointment. It's Wednesday at 2. Can you drive me or pick me up? Well, if you start telling people the days you're most available, the hours that you're available, and literally hold to those hours. And don't do it like tomorrow, okay? Don't jolt people right away, but you want to maybe say, okay, everybody, next month I'm trying something new. Next month, I am just super busy on Monday and Wednesdays. Like if you ever need me, my only pocket of time is between 7 a.m. and 9. And that doesn't mean that your next gig is at 9. You're overestimating. Your next gig is at 10. Okay, whether that's a class or a job
okay.
or whatever, give yourself transportation time, give yourself you time, give yourself time to have a bite to eat. So don't do back-to-back appointments. But if you were to start setting office hours on your ability to give to other people, I think they will respect that. But if you don't give boundaries and don't tell people that, then you don't know. So, for example, a lot of friends and family in my life know that I get up really early. Now, it used to be 4:30 a.m. Now I'm averaging around 2:30, 3 in the morning is when I get up.
Oh, wow.
And to do that, I go to bed at 8. Sometimes I might go 8:30, but I'm in bed for sure. I'm sleeping, snoring logs by 9. So people know not to call me after 9 or even after 8. And if my phone rings, I know it's an emergency. However, they do know that if they can't sleep and they need to call someone at 2:33 in the morning, I'm your gal. Okay? But I've set parameters. Okay? People know in my life that if you want to chit chat and catch up with Nancy, the best day to do that is Sunday. So I get a lot of calls on Sunday. That's my day. Can't wait. I've been wanting to talk to you all week. Can't wait to get to Sunday. So you just have to find a way to put boundaries in your time. Can you try that?
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought about doing like what you mentioned, office hours. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm gonna go ahead and try that and see how that works out for me.
And be fair to the people in your life. Again, if there's somebody that leans on you for a medical appointment, that generally doesn't happen except between 9 to 5, right? But I
Mhm.
think what you're going to find, and don't overgive, okay? That's where you get in trouble. You overgive. So
Yeah.
build in time for yourself. Like I said, don't have it be back to back, things that you have to do. But you know what you're going to find? You're going to find that you're not going to let anybody down. You're going to find that people are going to respect that. You're going to find that people are going to be more than happy to book appointments or do their grocery shopping or have you help them with something on the computer around times that work for you. They're not going to whimsically, randomly call you last minute. They're going to know your operating hours.
Mhm. All right.
And if you could do that, and if people honor that, how is that going to make you feel?
Much better. Like I can breathe.
Yeah. Doesn't that sound good?
Yeah.
Because right now you can't breathe.
No, it just seems like it's too much.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is respect that. Trust that. You've got all the balls in the air. You haven't dropped any yet, so feel good about that.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that you and I have chatted today, and you've got this plan. And I think if you initiate the plan, it might take people a couple weeks to get used to, but you can do that.
Mm.
And you know what? If you find that you really need it, I would put out emails. Hey everyone, in celebration of the next month, I'm shaking things up. And this is when I can, be available. Just want to let you know, literally put it in email form or text them. Or you can even get automated on text messages. You can get automation. So when someone texts you and you initiate the automation, when they text you, they're going to get a message back. And that's really helpful too, because you won't feel like, okay, this person texted me, I got to get back to them. Now we're going to go back and forth for about an hour. You can actually put automation in texting. You can put automation in your emails. You can leave an outgoing greeting on your voicemail with when you're available. So use that technology in your favor. There's a new business owner in town.
I'm going to look that up, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that things are going to get a lot better for you, I promise. And thank you so much for calling in, and we're going to wish you all the best, okay? And for everybody else, stay with us because we are going to be coming right back with Miss Tanya. And boy, if you want to hear about someone who just with grabbing on the both hands, grabbing on with her teeth, she is a woman that will not let her dream slip by and has done everything in her power to make it happen. And she did. We'll be back.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See? That's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about trusting and depending on yourself. And while there's a lot of people out there that we know we can call or lean on, sometimes it's just got to come down to us to make those big decisions and bold moves in life. And our inspirational guest today, Miss Tanya, is no stranger to bold moves. I don't want to give it away, so I'm going to welcome her to the show. Hello, Tanya.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, happy to have you. And I just want to say, you are a good apple, okay? You are a good girl. You really tried to do the right thing as a youngster, middle child, but really tried to be a good lead for your younger sister. You tried to do what your parents said as much as possible and meet their expectations. You are very smart. I mean, at the Science Math Academy that you went to high school at, you got top grades, 4.0 onward. But at the same time, sometimes being the good apple, being the good steward, doing everything that everyone wants, comes with a little bit of frustration on your side of feeling like you're not living your dream, like you're not making your own choices. And you eventually segued to college, went to University of Florida, and eventually you had to break up with your parents in the sense of them having a say in your life. Now, they're still your parents. In fact, they've been married for a long time and you love them. But you had to eventually get to the point where you would stand your own ground. And I'm telling you, Miss Tanya, there are people that don't figure that out until like their 50s and 60s. Like that's a really tough thing to do. But what finally got you to the point where you were like, I can't be what you want me to be anymore?
It was really when I hit the bottom mentally in depression. I was not doing anything. I wasn't going out. It was one of those situations where, where you get so stuck that you're like in your own funk, like literally, like you don't shower. And it was one of those mental bottoms. And as I was meditating, as I'm sitting here in a cluttered room, I just started thinking, what would happen, if I decided to pursue what I wanted to pursue? And then I started thinking about what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened. And it's like, if I go for it, I can at least know and say what happened and say that I did go for it, even if I failed. And that is what got me going. It was even if it doesn't work out, you did it.
Yeah. And you know what? Again, you're smart. I like the way your mind thinks. I think that, you can always go, and if it doesn't work out, come home, right? But, and you did decide to give up your life in Florida. And you got a request from a gal who needed a choreography for one part in a larger performance in San Francisco. So now you're leaving East Coast to go to West Coast. Big move. But again, you're smart. You worked at the international airport in your area. You did a transfer, so you had a job. You were even starting to do some aerial training and, starting to do your craft that way. And you did help out that one performer with her dance. But what did you learn about your brief, well, it wasn't brief, but several years in San Francisco? What did you learn about how that wasn't the answer?
It's funny. Intuitively, I already knew I wasn't staying. I knew when I got there, something was just like, this is a pit stop. But for me, it was the same thing happened. I became stuck again. But I became stuck again because I started following the same patterns again, started following the same traditions again. And I was like, okay, we're repeating the same thing. You're surrounding yourself with the same type of people and mentality. It's like we gotta do something else. And as soon as I got that inspiration to want to move up, to want to better my dance career, because that's where it specifically was for me. Like I felt like I was losing it. That's when all this information started coming in about New York. That's when all this information just started coming in about New York. I even had someone out there who was teaching me how to walk in New York. Like it was like I was already getting prepared for New York. And I feel like that's what San Francisco did. It taught me about survival. It taught me about not giving up. So I definitely take those two things from San Francisco, but it was definitely a point where it was like, your time here is done. I need you to move up.
And you decided to go take a bite of that Big Apple. And I've done New York too, right? It's a sea of people, and it's a really large city, and you do have to find a little bit of grounding. But ironically, you knew that you needed to get into action. You knew that you just needed to engage and start that new path. And so you found out about a place called The Muse, and it allowed you to use the community actors and talent, but allowed you to kind of get your feet wet, in the way of choreography and directing. How did that go?
I will always say this, like in my mind, I was like, it was a horrible show. I always say that, because I look so, I have such big dreams, and things were happening, it was my first time doing a production, and I ended up losing a talent. Some know them as actors or actresses, and it was very last minute. And at the time, I didn't know about needing like stand-ins and things of that nature. So a lot of the things I really learned hands-on. So even though, I always look back and I'm like, oh, it was a horrible show, in reality, it was probably the best show because it taught me, what will I do next? How will I not? Okay, I know not to do this. Okay, I know this needs to be incorporated. Oh, this needs to be considered for this. So it was a wonderful learning experience.
And actually, the great thing is, since it was community, you didn't have to necessarily pay a lot out of pocket, right? I mean, that was the saving grace there. It was a good learning experience.
That was the saving grace, is that it was a good learning experience, but at the same time, there were financial aspects of it that were a surprise for me as well.
There's always surprises. That's the entrepreneurial thing they don't tell you when you get into it. But stay with us, Miss Tanya, because we got so much more to your story that I want everyone to hear. And truly, when I say that she's an entrepreneur, she is. Love the way Miss Tanya's mind thinks. So you'll learn more about that when we come back. Stay with us.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today?
The only thing I didn't learn?
Is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about trusting and depending on yourself. You have to do that sometimes to get through the grind and the fire and the pits and the weeds of life. But when you do that, you can really be proud of what you create and what you learn. And our inspirational guest today, Miss Tanya, has gone through that exact path and then some. So I'd like to welcome Miss Tanya back to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm glad to be back on the show.
Thank you. And Miss Tanya, you just talked in the last segment about, what you felt was a performance, your directing debut that didn't go so well, but you learned a lot. And you also learned from that you needed to unplug and you wanted to let go of some of the dance styles, some of the things that you had been doing. You almost wanted to reemerge a new you, a new brand. But you also, again, fell back into those habits. You found yourself working a job. You found yourself getting distracted, trying to figure out where your place was in this industry in New York and what you wanted to do and trying to look at different styles. But just many, many years had passed. But what I think is so great about your story is when you actually started re-engaging and loving watching dance, going to theater again, that's what inspired you. And I'm just curious, coming out of that fog, what did you do next? How did you get your dream back on path?
After coming out of the fog, I hit the notebook. The journal and pen are like my saving grace. I started figuring out ways that I could come out that was unique to me as a dance artist, as a choreographer. I didn't want to be known, the way that others were known. I was like, no, I want my own style. So I would start improvising, with props, because I'm like, I love props. And I just started to think about all the things that I do love about dance and using that space and that energy and what I wanted to create. And I just started having fun. And I think that was the key, is that I started having fun and enjoying myself. And through that, all this inspiration started coming through, where I started developing a technique with the hat. And I was like, let's play with the hat, and ended up writing the next show.
The thing I think is so great about that pocket of time is, you were engaging in meeting with, retired professionals through the organization SCORE. You were going to Google classes. It was the University of Miss Tanya. You were going to figure it out. You were going to crack that code. And you're right, you did start to put together your next show. Although, there's this little thing called COVID that happened, and, that derailed your timing just a bit. The thing about your story that I find interesting, and we've all fallen into this trap, you just got your inspiration back, like you were ready to go. COVID happens and all the theaters close. But then when everything started to open up again, you just really, really, really quickly put that next show out there, like in 4 months, which is not a lot of time. How did that show go?
That show, it wasn't as big of a venue, and again, it was a learning experience for me, because it still wasn't the grand show that I want for myself. And because of that, I really realized that I was limiting myself, like through my performance, like through what I was putting out there. And even though I saw myself limiting myself, I received great exposure. I received an interview from Broadway director Will Nunziata. Even though, like, in my mind, I had put these limitations on myself, it was the message that really resonated and inspired. And I was like, you know what? That is the reason and the purpose you do this, is to deliver a message. So it was like another inspiration. It was like, okay, next time, this is what's happening.
So it's kind of like, it sounds like in the show one, the one that you say was a disaster, but learning, and then going into show two, it almost is like you were directing them from your head, and you weren't necessarily thinking about the message, the experience, until that, that Broadway director said that writer, which is really amazing, actually.
It really was. It was really amazing, and I really feel like I needed to hear that. Sometimes we tend to be really hard on ourselves, and I think I really needed to hear, like, you did a good job.
Now, knowing that you may have rushed those first two, but just because, you were excited and wanted to get into it, with this next show, how much time are you giving yourself now, and how do you want to do this one differently?
I am giving myself 2 years. I am so doing this differently because I want to build now. I'm understanding I really want to build a relationship with my dancers. I want to build a solid foundational team. I want to build my lighting designer and have this lighting designer travel with me and my dancers. And I want to have an ideal photographer that travels with me. So for me, it's like, okay, everything that is great takes a very strong, solid foundation. So it was just about going back to the basics and bonding. I feel like we sometimes lose that with this idea of trying to do things so much on our own. So it was like, no, like we need each other. So it's like at the same time, I'm building community. So I'm building that time in 2 years.
I think that's great. It sounds like a really good quantity of time to stay organized and to build that the way that you want. And they talk about the starving artist, right? And along your path in New York, and we've all done it, in our early years. You rented a room, and you had your own ins and outs of jobs, and needing to pay for things, and out of pocket for your shows, and for you, financing your next shows, having money, raising money, I mean, that has been almost not an obsession, but it is a huge focal point of yours. Why is that?
It is a recurring theme that has played out in my life, since childhood, now that I really think about it. And it is the one limiting factor as well, is finances, and just like you said, the starving artist, it is because the finances and having the money, because you don't really have that entrepreneur mindset about, because you're like, oh, I just want to make music, and you don't think about the money. But it's like reality hits, and not having enough money, it affects so many aspects of your production. It affects who you can hire. It affects your costuming. It affects the venue that you use. It even affects viewer turnout. People don't want to go into a box to watch a show. So money was the huge limiting factor. So now it's like, okay, money is my focal point. I'm going to build a relationship with money.
I love that. And, the thing is, we're talking today about trusting and depending on ourselves. And, sometimes people turn to their faith to get through, raising children, starting a business, that kind of thing. But in some ways, your faith has been yourself, believing in yourself, trusting yourself. Why is that?
It took, when I say something, I don't want people to think, oh, it just happened overnight. No, this took years of self-discovery. And when you're going down the path of looking about your past experiences, you'll notice certain themes, and there's always more than one. And this is one of mine. It was lack of confidence, not believing in myself, not trusting myself was a big thing for me, not feeling worthy. So I had to go within to deal with that and start healing that. And the only way to start healing that is to start trusting myself, start believing in the decisions that I make. I would overthink all the time. And it was like, just make a decision and know that whatever decision you make, it is the right decision, no matter what it is.
I really like that. That's really well said. And as you see your life playing out, your shows, your finances, love in your life, whatever it is that Miss Tanya wants, we hope Miss Tanya gets. But knowing that there will always be the unexpected, hopefully not another COVID, but you know what I mean. What does living full out mean to you?
Oh, man. Living full out to me is where you can spend at your best, every single moment enjoying your life and being happy. And it can be just as simple as like going down the street to get a boba tea, because that's your happy drink. And, just going to the library just to read a book, to make sure that books stay in circulation, and that's the part that you play. You know, you donate to the library to make sure that we will still have books in the future. You know, so just like every little moment you choose consciously to be happy. That is what living full out to me means.
I am so happy to hear you say that. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, Miss Tanya, you are a mover and shaker, not just in life, but just in the world of representing women and artistry. And thank you for being on our show today. I really appreciate that. And we'll keep our eye on you and see more great things from you, obviously, coming around the corner. Yay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy.
You got it. And for everybody listening, today we are all about trusting yourself, depending on yourself. And you can do this. You can get to living full out just like Miss Tanya did and so many others. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to trusting and depending yourself, remember that every decision you make is the right one. You just got to go out there and take that leap of faith. If you fail, you know what? Try again. And if it doesn't go well, go another direction, right? The great thing is life is meant to be lived. It's meant to be tested, tweaked, and you can do this. Get out there and live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about trusting and depending on yourself. And I know to some that may seem scary and lonely. I don't want to be by myself. But the thing is, what I have learned over time, and this has really been eye-opening, over time we date, right? We meet people. Maybe you consider marriage, maybe you don't. Maybe you love to live alone, but maybe you want to have roommates and be social. Maybe you want to go out all the time. But there is something very powerful about being alone. It is such an important time that everybody should have in their life. Now, maybe someone grows up in a really large family and then they, move into a relationship and maybe you've never had that alone moment. And then maybe later on down the years, all of a sudden you do. That alone moment, to me, I call it Nancy University. It is time for me to do things that elevate and help me. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a time that I'm a little bit like, wish somebody was here, right? Like if I remember kind of kicking it with the dogs on a Friday and I haven't made plans with someone, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I wish someone was here to have a glass of wine with me. Sure, everyone's going to have those moments. Or maybe there's someone that you were super, super head over heels for, relationship ended, and yeah, from time to time you might think about them, in the loneliness of the night. Or a family member passes away, they were a rock in your life, and now they're not around. Yes, there's going to be those moments. But what I'm talking about is alone time, whether you live alone, whether you are spending a weekend alone, whether you are fearful of, gosh, what if one day I'm alone? Alone time is great. Now, that's when you want to learn and get a little bit deeper into your values, into your faith, into that inner core, right? And it's only when we're alone that we can be still, be quiet, meditate. Sometimes it's listening to music that is either nostalgic or spiritually lifts us up. It's also the time where you can learn in terms of your education, in terms of your career. I know that the alone time I have allows me to listen to podcasts to grow as a person. It allows me to observe projects that perhaps my team and I want to move forward on in our business, and it allows me that time to do that. When you're constantly busy and doing and out and about and entertaining people, you actually gyp yourself that time. And consider yourself like a bank, right? If you're constantly going out, you're constantly making dinner for other people, you're constantly on the move or talking to people on the phone, it's a withdrawal. Withdrawal. And then pretty soon your bank account, the emotional bank account, the bank account of your personal time is going to dwindle down. You have to put in deposits. You have to have time, that alone time to maybe just even sleep. What a concept, right? Get some rest. And so I want everybody to kind of consider today's topic about trusting and depending on yourself. To do that, you have to trust that the decisions that you're going to make are good, and that wherever you are in life is right where you're supposed to be. Even if it feels lonely, uncomfortable, or stressful, there's a learning in this moment. I call them gulp moments. Gulp moments is when you do feel that tightness in your throat, or the sweaty palms, or a little bit of a twisty stomach. You want to think about, what is happening in my life right now that's causing this? Who is in my life? What circumstances are in play that has me all turned upside down? And then what we want to do is work backwards and figure out what is going to be a solution to help with those problems. Then you want to look at depending on yourself. That's not a bad thing. I think when we rely too much only on other people, it's almost like we forget how to do things ourselves. It's kind of funny. I have different friends of mine that are married and some that have roommates. And I choose to live by myself. And I can do things myself, or I have plenty of people I can call on a whim if I need help, even a handyman or a housekeeper or whatever somebody's specialty is, right? But it's amazing how some of my married friends or some of my friends who have roommates, they rely on those people. It's like when a problem comes up, that person, that roommate, that spouse, they become the handyman. They become the housekeeper. They become the tech expert. And you don't broaden your horizons. You don't utilize other people who that is their specialty. You just lean on that person you live with. So again, depending on yourself is not a bad thing. So I really hope that over today's show, you've been able to identify places that you want to make some changes. You know, we do a lot of life coaching at Living Full Out. I want to make sure you reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com or go to our website, livingfullout.com, because if you're dealing with a problem, a dilemma, let us help you. Let me help you. Let's figure out what it is. Let's figure out the solutions, connect the dots, and get you to where you have that relief. That would be so important to you and to me to get you there. Know I believe in you every step of the way as you go to live full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, Living Full Out.